it's one of those recipes that you'll make, 20 times and it'll turn out great. And then you'll have one time that it's a flop. It's just, dependent on what you're doing and what the weather is like.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. That's a great perspective. I agree with Jen. When I worked in a pizza shop, the guy who taught me, a guy named Jay, I think he learned from his grandma, and he would just say, like, add about this much. He wasn't even always measuring stuff. So take it a little bit light, do some practice. Okay, now you can see my dough is, our dough is getting to the point where I can touch it and not, be having it all in my hands. So we're not quite yet at the kneading stage. I want to add a little bit more flour, and then we're going to go for it here. Excuse me. We got a flaky dough, folks. Feeling pretty flaky. So those of you that remember Carlisle, I don't know, we could have a discussion about what's the best pizza in town. So our cameraman today is Josh. He's behind the scenes here. Josh, what's your favorite pizza in Carlisle?
I'm a fan of George's.
George, we got one for George's. How about you, Wolf?
Well, George's is the oldest pizza shop in town, but I prefer Vinny's or Messino's pizza because I like a more traditional Italian style pizza, like a New York style. I like the thin crust. George's has a great thicker crust though.
Which Messino's?
Both of them are very similar. One or two, I would take either, but Vinny's is my go-to, but it's also a block from my house, so I can walk there.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Carlisle memories for you folks. I used to live out here in Bowling Springs on the farm, so I like Anili's pizza. We also have Benny's. One of my favorite things in life is when I call the pizza shop and I dial the number and they pick up the phone and they know who it is. Just by, you place your order and they say, well, you want a large mushroom and hot pepper? That must be Matt. So I feel like I've made it in life when my local family pizza shop knows who I am. All right, so you can see now our dough ball is actually becoming a dough ball, which is great. I'm going to turn it out on the table now. Got a nice clean table here. All right. And a little flour on the table. Making pizza can be a little messy. So we got flour on the table. And if you're not familiar with making bread, the kneading process is really fun. It's good exercise. So just kind of punch it down, fold it onto itself, punch it back in some more. All the while, if it's too wet, we're going to add some flour. And using like a stiff arm, so my whole body weight is going into that. What we're trying to do now with the kneading, and if you were using a machine, you would mix it for about 10 minutes with your dough hook. What we're doing is we're trying to develop some gluten fibers. There's gluten in the flour. And one of the nice things about gluten is it's a protein that will kind of make a net, like it makes the structure of the dough. And so as we knead this, we're going to develop those fibers. And then when the yeast is activated, like the yeast is going to eat some of that flour and water mixture, it's going to breathe out carbon dioxide gas. And that's what makes the dough rise. So we have the gas, little gas bubbles would get trapped in the network of gluten fibers in the dough and give it that loft that makes it so pleasant when you go ahead and eat it. So this is not for you if you're gluten intolerant, obviously. We did used to make gluten-free dough here for a couple years also, and that can be done. It's very nice, but we're not doing that today. Okay, so rather than just sit here and have you watch me knead for 10 minutes, I'm going to hand this over to Jenn Wolf, and Josh and I are going to go outside and show you the pizza oven and some of the tools we use. All set, Jen?
Already.
All right, add as much flour as you need.
Okay.
All right, thanks so much. Josh, why don't you come around this way?
Absolutely.
So some of the other tools that we would have in a commercial pizza operation are the paddle. And we actually have several different paddles. This is a wooden paddle. And we build the pizza on the wooden paddle. And then that's usually the only thing we use the wooden paddle for is we'll make the pizza on here, we'll shake it into the oven, and then that wooden paddle is done until the next pizza is being made. We like to then have a metal paddle, and this is for getting the pizza out of the oven and also for turning it. So it's got a nice thin edge there. It's really good for getting under the pizza, so I'll show you later. All right, we're gonna go outside. I apologize if the audio outside is not perfect because we're out in the environment and there'll be some cars going by. So, but I'm gonna show you the wood-fired oven up close and personal. Sound good? Here we go. All right, here's our wood-fired pizza oven. And this was built by a company called The Fire Within in Boulder, Colorado. And they make them commercially. You can make your own pizza oven at home or pay a mason to make one for you in your yard. But since we wanted to have one on wheels, this one was mobile. So you can see it's on a trailer. And we hooked this thing up to the truck and haul it around. We'll take it to Carlisle. We'll take it into for farmers markets. We can take it to fairs, that kind of thing. Mostly it just goes to campus or the farmers market. Let's take a look inside without hurting Josh's phone. So we got a wood fire burning right inside there. And this has been burning for a couple hours to get it nice and warm. Inside the oven are stones. So these are a stone deck. And what we're trying to do is get those stones nice and hot so that the pizza will bake from the top with the heat of the oven, as well as from the bottom where the stone's going to bake it and cook that crust up. So this is the time where we're going to brush the oven and also push our fire into the back. So we're actually going to make pizza with the fire all the way in the oven there. So just pushing this back there. Nice hot coals. Again, if you wanted to make your own pizza oven, you can do that. The guts of this oven came from Italy, made by a company called Forno Bravo. And the body of the oven was made by a company called The Fire Within from Boulder, Colorado. All right, so I got my fire all the way in the back. I'm gonna throw a little more wood in there, Josh.
Absolutely.
Good. This is firewood from the farm, like locust and cherry trees that come down on the farm. Brush off the dirt and just toss it right there in the oven. And with a good toss, it's plenty hot in there. Like I can barely hold my hand in there. Nice and hot. The last thing I want to do after I brush up the deck is clear the ashes. And to do that, we use this very high-tech copper pipe, piece of pipe. What I have found, two things I always tell the students when they're helping us is, number one, don't put the pipe in your mouth until it's in the oven, or else you'll bang your teeth. That's bad. And the other is keep your head low, because as I blow in here to move those ashes, hot air is going to come out the top, and I don't want to burn my eyebrows. Okay, that's happened too. So I get nice and low, and maybe Josh, you can see inside there.
Yeah.
Great. We got a nice clean deck, and that's nice and hot. Going to be great for baking pizza. All right, I think we're ready to go. All set? Yeah, let's go back inside. How we doing, Jen Wolf?
Great.
All right. Pizza Pro. All right. So, what if I take over that dough ball again?
Great.
If you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, let's give Jen a big hand for donating experience. So, the next step would be to let the dough rest. So, after we've kneaded it for about 10 minutes like that, we're going to let it rest. What I like to do is take a bowl It could be the bowl you're already working in, or it could be another bowl. And oil it on the bottom, and then you kind of oil your dough ball and let it sit in there. Maybe put either a damp cloth or a piece of saran wrap over it, so that we don't want the dough to get dried out and crusty while it's resting. So as we rest, this dough ball is going to rise, and then we can actually come back and punch it down a second time. So I think what I'll do, Jen, sorry to interrupt, I think I'll let this rest while you show them a little bit about sauce.
Sounds great.
And then we'll come back and we'll see the next step of the dough process. All right.
All right. So today we are going to make just a very simple spinach sauce. This is a great way to use up spinach that is starting to go bad in your crisper. It's not crunchy enough to make a salad, but it's still got some life in it and you don't know what else to do with it. Well, here is a great way to use that up, and it takes about 5 minutes to make this sauce. So you can flavor it how you like, either by adding different cheeses or creams or butter. We're just going to do a very basic sauce, like something we would do here, that we would then use for one of our toppings for our market pizzas. So we're going to start with a little bit of garlic, about 2 cloves worth of garlic, into our pan with some oil. And I just have some pre-minced garlic that we use here on the farm. You can use cloves, or if you have jarred garlic in your refrigerator, whichever you have on hand. And we're just gonna let that cook for 30 seconds. You start to smell that aromatic garlic smell, and that's when it's ready. We wanna keep the garlic from burning. At this point, handfuls of spinach are just going in. I have about 1 pound of clean spinach. I have trimmed the ends off. I just ripped them off with my hand. You can use a knife if you want to. You can leave them on, honestly. They get a little stringy sometimes, so I tend to remove them. Spinach going in. All right, at this point, we're just gonna give this a stir. The spinach cooks down in about a minute and a half. So you just want to keep it active in your pot. You can also do this in a pan, but it was easier for me not to throw spinach everywhere by using this larger pot that I have. How's that smell, Josh?
Smells wonderful.
All right. So as our spinach wilts, you want to get your liquid ingredient ready. You can use water, you can use cream or milk, like I've said. I'm going to use a little bit of vegetable broth. It's something we make on the farm, so I had some on hand and thought that would add a nice little bit of liquid. We just need enough liquid to make this able to be a blended item. When your spinach is nice and wilted and all cooked down, that's when we're going to go ahead and add our liquid. And I'm going to add about a half a cup to a whole cup, depending on the amount of spinach you use. And you can always add more. It's better to start out with less and add extra later if you need it, versus having too runny of a sauce. All right. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt, just a pinch or two. It's salt to taste. And I also add a little bit of sugar, just a pinch, because that helps reduce the bitterness of the garlic. This is my favorite tool on the farm. I use it weekly, if not daily. It is the largest immersion blender you can buy on the market, I believe. You probably don't have one this size at your house, and that's okay. You can use a little one, or you can use a blender. If you have neither of those things, you can just chop the spinach very small. You won't get quite the same texture, but it will have the same flavors. So right now, I'm just going to blend this smooth with the immersion blender. And as you're doing this, and if you see that it's not blending quite the way you want, you might not have enough liquid. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more liquid. As you can see, it's starting to come together. What you're looking for is kind of like a nice thicker, I need to blend a bit more, but this is what we're going for. You've got a nice amount of spinach mixed in, and you've got a nice amount of liquid. The problem with having a tool this awesome is that it is not designed for this small batch. So I am running into a little trouble. I'm used to making like a 50-pound batch versus a 1-pound batch. So right here, this nice creamy texture is what we're looking for, and that'll spread very nicely on the pizza. Matt, do you have any comments about the sauce that we made?
Oh, it looks really good. Well, you can talk about the wet and dry, like not being too wet.
Oh, yes. When we make our marinara or any of our sauces here on the pizza on the farm, you can't have too wet of a sauce or it makes your dough soggy. So the best thing you can do is have a nice, thick, mediumly moist sauce, and the more sauce you make, the better you will do at it. But if you ever are making your own tomato sauce and it is a bit runny, you can just cook it down more, give it another 30 minutes on the stove, and it will reduce that at a nice medium level.
You could also add tomato paste.
Mhm.
If you have some, like a small can of tomato paste, goes a long way to thickening up the sauce. Jen, can you talk about freezing sauce? Because I know you do that quite a bit.
Yeah, we measure and freeze our sauce. We try to lay it flat on a tray so that when it is frozen, we can stack it nicely in the freezer. Every year we freeze about 200 quarts of sauce for our dough making or for our pizza process here on the farm, and that is using all the farm tomatoes and trying to use as many of the farm tomatoes as we can. You simply just make the sauce to your liking. You can flavor it however you like, let it cool down. I usually let it cool down overnight because we do use plastic bags. So then you portion it into your bag and freeze it. It's very simple, and we thaw it in the refrigerator overnight for the next day's service. And I usually end up cooking it down a little if it's gotten watery during the freezing process, because that's pretty common. Sweet.
Awesome.
So the sauce is going to cook a little bit more to reduce the water like we just talked about, and then it will be ready for Matt to use when he is ready.
Excellent. Great job, Jen.
Thanks, Matt.
It smells so good. All right. Well, one thing I'll add is I've also worked in shops where we just did garlic butter as a sauce. So like if you've ever had a white pizza, it's literally like the white pizza recipe that I learned was olive oil and butter mixed 50-50, a little bit of salt, and then lots of garlic in there. And that's a great garlic butter, which is good on rolls or on just on plain dough, or as a base for a white pizza with no tomato sauce. All right, great job, Jen.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, I guess we'll take over again for a while.
Okay.
And, we'll keep going.
All right.
All right. well, we got one more step to do before we're ready to make pizza. So I was going to show you the next step of the dough process. So here's our dough ball. And hasn't really risen yet that much. You can kind of tell if you leave your dough ball in a warm place, it'll rise faster. And you can tell when your dough is risen by its maybe doubles in size. It's nice. It gets a little puffy. If you're making bread at this point, you would punch it down to get the gas out of it. We're going to do that after we make our dough balls. So we're going to divide this large dough ball, which is weighs several pounds, into a bunch of smaller dough balls. And that's our base unit for making a pizza. This is a very handy item for cutting dough. I use this dough scraper. You can also use a big kitchen knife. Since we're doing mass production, we will use a scale to decide how big our pizza ball should be. But you can also just do that in your kitchen, estimating. Anyhow, for our small pizzas, which is like the personal size that we sell at the farmer's market, about a 10 or 12 inch pie. For that, we need a 0.4 pounds of dough. So I'll turn the scale so Josh can see it and all you guys. Here we got 0.58. So I'm a little bit long. I'm going to take my dough cutter and just slice off a hunk and do that again. And now we're pretty close to where we want to be. Okay, so that's for a small personal size pizza. And then the other size that we'll use is for a large pizza, like 14 to 16 inch pie, we're going to use 0.8. And so right like that. And this is what we use. Every pizza maker will be a little bit different, but we find this is a good size for us. So 0.8 is there. And this is just a hunk of consolidated or unconsolidated dough at this point. So what I want to do to make a dough ball is I'm going to start to wrap this into a round shape or a spherical shape. And basically I'm using my hands and I'm going to fold this material into itself. One thing I forgot to say is lots of flour is really helpful at this point. My dough is still a little bit sticky. So I've got my extra flour handy. I'm going to take my hand flour and just kind of toss it everywhere. Now nothing's going to stick to anything. So I want to fold this into itself. And then when it gets there, I'm going to squeeze. And I'm going to do that again. I am continuing to maintain a undisturbed surface on the back of the dough here. So this is like the smooth face of the bun, so to speak. And as I go, I'm just drawing dough matter away from that face there. You can even kind of pinch and rotate. Pinch and rotate. And maybe, 7 or 8 times here. I've got a nice little dough ball. Pinch and rotate. Oh, it feels so nice. Dough, when the dough consistency is nice, it's just really pleasant. Okay, I've got a really nice round dough ball. The rounder your dough ball, the easier it is to make a round pizza. I know it sounds silly, but a lot of our students, when they're learning how to make pizza, they often struggle to make round dough balls and make round pizzas. So if you start off with a round dough ball, you're in great shape. Oh yeah, okay. So Jen brought over a clean dough tray, which is helpful. Thank you, Jen. If you're at home, you can just do this on a counter and then cover them with like saran wrap. You could also put them on a baking sheet. We have these nice dough trays for commercial use. So we put a little bit of olive oil in there for this handy squeeze bottle and wipe it around. Nice clean dough tray. And then we're going to take our dough ball and place it in there. Right there. Good. Yeah, I'm just going to keep this here. Can you see it okay, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Okay, and that's my large dough ball. Here's the same thing, a small dough ball again. And this one, just lots of flour. I'm going to work away from the one surface, continuously working away, maintain this nice smooth shape here, and pinch, pinch, pinch. I bet, see, Jen Wolf makes all the dough here at the farm, and she does a lot of dough balling. I bet she's done this 1,000 times already this year.
Yeah, probably. I do my balling a little different, but it's a very similar thing. I sort of round it. My hand work is a little different, but we're doing the exact same process.
Well, actually, that would be great. I'll cut you a dough ball, Jen. You want to show them how you do it? You can also use your thumb. So kind of push in, rotate. All the time I'm keeping the back of the dough nice and smooth. And I've got this pretty little dough ball. All right, Wolf. 0.41, there you go.
Okay, similar to Matt, but I sort of just tuck mine under. My hands are used to making these and my fingers underneath, it's hard to show you what they're doing, but they're just like folding the dough under the same as he was doing, that he's pinching and my other hand is doing that. But same as keeping that smooth top so that the dough looks really nice. And then I like to, because my balls are never round, so I end up circling it in my hand a little until it makes that nice round. And you can tell like it's that nice smooth consistency on top and that you don't have any like open seams on the bottom. Another thing that you can do if you make a large batch of dough at home, you can take your oil in a plastic bag or plastic container or any container that's like freezer safe. And you can take your balls of dough, coat them in oil, and then freeze them until you're ready to use them. At my personal home, I will make a big batch in my mixer and then I'll freeze dough balls so that the night before I want to have a pizza, I'll grab one out, let it thaw in my fridge overnight, and then sit it out 2 hours before I'm ready to use it, and it works wonderfully. So if you make a big batch by following Matt's recipe and you're like, what the heck am I going to do with 5 pizzas right now? That's a great way to do all the work one time and then reap the benefits later when you're like tired and don't want to worry about dinner.
How long does it keep in the freezer?
I would say use it within 3 to 6 months for the best flavor and best yeast retention.
Want to race? You want to do one? Here's a big one. All right, you guys stay go. Ready? Go.
Very close, neck and neck. But Matt, you got it.
That wins.
Well, there's no competition.
It's years of practice from Matt. I'm just an apprentice.
I was making dough when Jen was still grade school, probably.
Probably.
Okay, so we got our dough all balled up. It's fun to talk about it, but when we're really going, about how long does it take you to make 90 dough balls, Jen?
Start to finish, I make about 90 dough balls in an hour.
Like just balling?
No, from starting the dough to finishing, and that's allowing 15 minutes of kneading and 15 minutes for the yeast to proof.
Wow.
So I ball 90 balls in a half hour or so.
So for the record, folks, that's really fast. I couldn't do that. No way. So, well, it's great. Thank you, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Oh, my mixer is there.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Let's show them the dough mixer.
Absolutely.
It's your standard floor model dough mixer. We bought it refurbished, but that's because it is made of solid metal and is a beast. It can make 50 pounds of dough in one batch, and it is my second favorite tool here on the farm. It's probably tied for first with the immersion blender, but I use it weekly or twice weekly, depending on how many pizzas we're making. So it is a lovely tool that I don't expect any of you have that in your homes.
Awesome. Great. That doesn't have a name yet, does it?
I didn't name it.
Okay, we can put eyes on it.
Okay.
All right, the last thing before we put our dough in the fridge or in our resting place is we're gonna put just a dollop of oil on each one. And that keeps it from drying out again. And like I said, you could cover it. In this case, we're gonna cover it with a lid. But if we were at home, we could just cover it with saran wrap or what have you. All right, great. So we're gonna store these in the fridge. Typically on the farm, we'll store dough in the fridge for a couple hours and then let it rise.
Oh, okay.
There goes Wolf. All right. So come on over back to your spot. at home, if I had some guests coming, you know, and I was gonna make pizza, I would probably make dough, say at 5 o'clock, let it rise till 6:30 or so, and be ready to bake pizza by about 7. So you do want to give yourself some time. If you have guests coming, you're like, oh my God, I need dough right now. It's just not going to work. So in that case, you might have to go call your pizza shop and you can buy dough balls. Or you can also, of course, go the easy way, you know, buy some dough or a pre-baked shell at the grocery store. But there's not a lot of fun in that. Okay, before we get into making the next step, which is actually making the pizzas, I thought we could pause for questions for a moment. So if you have a question, you could share them with Andrew in the chat, or however you want to do that, Andrew.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question, or feel free to write it in the chat and I'll be happy to ask it for you. Doesn't look like we have any questions right now.
Okay, I'll insert a joke here. Why did the hipster burn himself eating pizza? Or why did the hipster burn himself on the pizza? Because he was eating it before it was cool.
Not with the dad jokes.
All right. Yep. Well, we got to keep it light here. All right. So we prepared some dough here this morning, so we would be ready to go today. And so while normally we would let our dough balls rise, we saved you that step. And
By the magic of television.
yes, the magic of TV. We now have risen dough balls, and they're ready to go. You can see these are the 0.8 pound ones. These are the 0.4 pound ones, the smaller ones. So I think we'll start with a small one and make a small personal. So as I said before, I want to make sure. If I get smack on the okay. Caution to the wind. I want to make sure that I keep my dough ball round as much as possible in the next step here. So get some flour. I got a little pile of flour here on the table, and I'm going to pull out a dough ball, all the while conserving the roundness as best as I can. And now I'm going to treat this. What we're going to do is going to punch the air out of it and try to make it into a big pizza shape. So I'm going to take that and can you see down here, Josh? Awesome. All right. So I want to dip this in flour, get it nice and floury all around. And then what I do is I use the tips of my fingers kind of in a flat configuration, kind of the opposite of if you were playing piano, right? We're not curving our fingers, these are flat fingers. I'm going to push this dough. You can even hear it, like the gas coming out of it. It's wonderful. And as I do this, I'm trying to push out all the air bubbles, except for on the very edge of the crust. So I want to maintain a little disc there of crust. So this very outer edge, I'm almost like making a frisbee or a plate, you know? So this is a great time if you're getting out of round, you can correct for that. This dough came out okay, Jen.
Yeah, it did. Turned out well.
Yeah.
We should have kept one of the small balls out to see the difference.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Do you want me to get one?
Sure. All right, so I've kind of flattened my dough there now. Now at this point, we could just go with a straight, only hand tossed, or we could use a rolling pin. So I think for the first one, we'll do a rolling pin. That's kind of the easy homeowner style. I want to make sure my rolling pin is nice and floured as well. So what do you got there, Jen Wolf?
Oh, right here, we have one of the dough balls that we just made. And then this is one of the ones that you're using, just so everyone can see the difference of the size that they can become and what we're looking for to show.
Excellent. So yeah, it's really doubled in size about, and it's much more, well, this is kind of stiff and like, you know, I push into it and it holds its shape. These guys are like, they also do.
They're springier.
Yeah, they're full of air because the yeast has risen and it's, you know, puffed it up. All right, thanks, Jen. Okay, so if you're not trusting of yourself to hand toss, then you can use a rolling pin. So I got my rolling pin all nice and floury. Get this extra flour out of the way. And what I want to do is I want to try to conserve the roundness. Okay, so I'm going to chase my dough out to a bigger size by always like, if I see it getting to be an oval, I'm gonna rectify that with my rolling pin. One thing I like to point out to people is it's not always like just straight, like a rolling pin like a steamroller, but I can actually tilt this and apply more pressure to one side or the other in order to really have some nuance to it. So I'm gonna use a little more of my left hand there. I'm not sure what hand you see on Zoom there, and just chase that out. Now we're getting to be about the right size, okay? This is honestly a little bit too much flour. We'll shake some of that off for the next step. Okay, maintain my crust. Oh yeah, as you're rolling, you do want to respect that edge of your crust. So I don't roll it all the way out to the edge. I'm always kind of stopping right before that very edge of the dough. So you have a crust you can bite into. Okay, so far so good. So the next step is, okay, we got a paddle. This paddle should be clean and dry. If it's wet from like you washed it in your sink, maybe add some, like at home I hang my paddle on the wall and it gets dusty. So if I wash it, I'm gonna make sure to dry it and then put a little flour on there. And another really important part is cornmeal. When we go to get the pizza off the paddle, we want to use a little bit of cornmeal. Cornmeal is like ball bearings on the paddle. It's going to help that pizza slide. Okay, so just a light dusting of cornmeal on the paddle. That really, the coarseness of that cornmeal helps to create a surface that the pizza won't stick to. All right, so now I'm going to put a lot of flour in my hands, and I actually like to use the back of my arms, even here, like the back of your wrist. So the way to get a pizza off the table and on the paddle is to flip it up on your hand like that. And now I've got it up on my hands. I'm not pinching, but I'm just kind of stretching. All right, and we'll come back to that. So this is going to go on the paddle. This dough is in great shape. Actually, a little bit too big for this. Yeah, let's skip it. We'll delete this broken paddle. We're missing that 10%. Okay. Jen, could I ask a favor? Could you fish out a clean towel from somewhere? I can show them how to toss the towel. Thank you. Okay, I got my cornmeal on the paddle, and let it get nice and big. So far, so good. That's perfect. Great, thank you. All right, do you want to show them how to dress it, or you want me to do it?
Go for it.
All right. Okay, so next step, we're all pizzaed up here. Jen mentioned a little bit earlier that it's really important not to have the sauce be too watery because we don't want to soak through the dough. What happens if you make your dough too thin or your sauce too watery is your pizza can stick to the paddle and you start having all kinds of problems from that point forward. So we want to keep this guy, you guys can see it's like actually slippery on there. And so we want to build a small, like a light pizza with a little bit of pasty sauce, and that'll really help it get off the paddle without sticking. Okay, so Chuck, can you see okay from there? I can come to you.
Oh, I think that was great.
Okay, all right, so I'll start with a traditional red sauce here. And it doesn't take much. Okay, everybody wants to over sauce it. So put sauce in the middle there. And these little ladles are great. Use the back of your ladle to move it around. Maybe a little more sauce. I'm going to conserve some real estate on the pizza.
You may want to come a little closer.
Yeah, okay, you got it. So I'm going to conserve some real estate there where I don't put sauce. That'll be our crust. We're making our handle. All right, so just a light coating of sauce.
That's about 2 ounces. That's a 2-ounce ladle.
Great. So we actually use like 1.5 there.
So 3 ounces.
Okay, great. And now it's time for cheese. So I'm gonna save a lot of the cheese info. Now we'll just go for it. Okay. For here at the farm, we buy locally made cheese from a dairy farmer that's really close by. And those guys, they don't really make a very good mozzarella. So while you probably heard of like, everybody likes mozzarella for their pizza. That is the traditional pizza cheese. We're using a blend of cheddar and Monterey Jack, and it comes out pretty nice. Okay, if it was all cheddar, I think it would be a little bit too yellowy. But this is a really nice blend here. We do 2 parts cheddar to 1 part Monterey Jack. Do I have that right, Jen?
Yes, you do.
Okay. When I worked in an Italian pizza shop in Pittsburgh, we had a little secret, which I'll tell you guys because you joined this class, which is great. We used all provolone cheese. No mozzarella at all. And that provolone, we had a dry provolone and a wet provolone, and together they made just a really nice salty pizza that was really we won awards for it there in Pittsburgh. Okay, that's a lot of cheese. I actually kind of went a little heavy on cheese there, and you'll find if you put too much cheese, it becomes a little bit soupy. All right, so I'm gonna go easy on the cheese, and I'll put a little spinach on here. We just want to be gentle with our toppings. If you overload it like a big supreme pizza, you need a thicker crust. Okay, and that's important. All right, so there's that. Spinach tends to burn if we just leave it up out here by itself. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of cheese on top of the spinach to give it some lubrication. All right, and then we'll take it out to the oven. And then if I put it in there, will you bake it?
I will, yep.
Excellent. All right, let's all go outside and see how it goes in the oven. Great. Got that? Okay, our oven is nice and hot. We already got the dust off of it. We're ready to go. The trick here is I'm going to make it kind of like a vibrating paddle. I'm going to incline it forward, and I'm going to vibrate this guy and get as close as you can here, Josh. So just a gentle shake. I'm trying to get that pizza off without spilling all my ingredients. The dreaded thing when you're baking pizza in a wood-fired oven, especially, is if you get sauce and cheese on the deck. The deck is where we're baking there. If we get a lot of stuff on the deck, the next pizza will stick. Okay, and as your pizzas stick, well, it just gets harder and harder. It can be a downward spiral. Especially terrible is when you got a line full of people waiting for their pizzas at the farmer's market, and you start burning pizzas and sticking them to the oven. Because a pizza that's half baked is still pretty wet, and once you get a hole in there and start sticking to the oven, oh boy, it's a nightmare. Under pressure, we can have some real terrible things. So that's why we want to make our sauce not too watery. We're going to be careful not to make our dough too thin, which we'll talk about again. And then we don't want to put too many toppings on there, and we want to be very gentle as we come off the paddle with like a vibration shake. All right, how we doing? Great. So the first turning is the most important one. Our oven's nice and hot. As I said, if you're baking at home, heat your oven as high as you can, like 500 degrees is great. We like to get this thing up like 700 degrees because it's wood fired, it goes really hot. As I go in with my paddle, this is my front of my pizza. I want to make sure that my paddle is going in at an angle like this, okay? If I come in and at an angle like this, I'm gonna stab the front of the pizza and break it, all right? And just all kinds of problems start at that point. So I'm gonna get under my pizza, usually about 2 minutes, and the crust will start to set. I'm gonna get in under there, right? No, it's not ready yet. So rather than rush it for you guys and make a nightmare for Jen Wolf, I'm gonna take my time.
Any more jokes?
Any more jokes? Pizza jokes or hipster jokes? Let's see. What did the hipster say when his friend invited him to go to do yoga?
Do tell.
Namaste.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
boy. What do you call an alligator in a vest?
I don't know.
Oh boy. An investigator. Sorry, that's for the kids. All right. Here at the farm, we tell a lot of queen jokes because we work with people of all ages. So, all right. Oh, come on. So, boy, I having a little bit of a challenge here. Oven's plenty hot. Come on, precious. There we go. Now the pizza's moving. I do feel like I'm going to get a hole in this one. Look at that.
Yeah, I think you are.
All right. Well, so the expert, so-called expert is being humbled here by the oven. Maybe I took my dough a little bit too thin, or I put a little bit too much sauce and cheese in there, but I do think I have a hole developing in this first pizza. So this is great. We get to troubleshoot on live TV. All right. What do you think, Wolf?
I would let that sit a minute.
Yeah, like gotta harden up some more.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it'll heal itself.
Yeah, you can definitely heal them. The worst thing you can do is try to move a super wet pizza because you're gonna rip the middle right out of it.
Yep.
You could fold it in half and make it a calzone at that point.
Yeah, we don't want to do that just yet.
Not yet, no.
I want to do an intentional calzone, not a. All right, so we're gonna let this one rest. I do want to watch my tip of my paddle is starting to get some wet cheese on there. That's how I know I'm getting a hole. So that a moment. Come on, precious. Oh, so close.
Nice.
You can see it's just one little hole right in the middle on this back edge. Yeah, that's where the problem is.
Okay.
So close. Everything else is liberated, but we're stuck to the oven right now in one part. Almost does seem like we should flip it into a calzone, doesn't it?
I mean, this one, I think we might have to.
All right, folks. Well, you start with a failure, and then everything else from there is just gravy.
Yeah, it's like pancakes.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to flip this one up on itself, and we'll make a little cheese spinach calzone. Unplanned for. The producers love this stuff. All right, ready? Hey, all right, there it is. Yep. Look at that beauty. Coming out the middle. All right, well, don't try that at home. It happens. So Wolf, what do you think we ought to do here? Like,
I thought I could. Why don't you go do another?
Looks like they may have froze, so hopefully they'll be back in a minute. Sorry about that, everybody. Oh, looks like they just left, so hopefully they'll be joining back in here. We'll hop right back on. Sorry about the little interruption.
Do you know where the recording will be available?
I will send it out after we wrap up here. And I will tell you that I forgot to record the first like 5 minutes, but I will send you the recipe as well. So you have that. You will have the rest of it.
Great, thank you.
Looks like Matt is logging back on now. Sorry about that, everybody.
There we go.
Now we're back.
And we're back, everyone. My phone overheated due to the combination of the pizza oven and the general Carlisle heat. But we're back now on another phone.
all right. Sorry about that, folks. A little technical difficulty. We are out here in the wilderness, So here you can see what happens when the pizza doesn't bake properly. This is what do you call it, like cake fails or something? So this is a pizza fail. So it happens. I don't usually like to start that way today, but usually we have like 1 or 2 bad ones per batch of 90. So I'm off to a great start. I got it out of the way. All right, this time I won't make it quite a spin, and I'm gonna not talk so much. I'm gonna get it right in the oven, and see that works a little better. So I think my dough is a little soft, so. And so one thing I did want to mention to everybody is when you're rolling, or hand stretching, it is really important not to not to overdo it. If you can see through your dough, like you get a little window where you can see, or you can start to feel like a hole coming out there, you've gotten too thin and you're going to have that same problem sticking to the deck. So in this case, since our dough has taught us that it's going to be a problem child, I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to be careful not to hand stretch too much. So just really kind of gently there. There. So that's a little smaller of a pizza. And we're going to go pretty quickly from sauce. We'll go 1 scoop of sauce instead of 2. Let's try a variation this time. We'll put our spinach under the cheese. Won't that be fun?
Fancy.
Yeah. So spinach going on. I've seen it. You probably, if you've been to Chicago, you probably had some of that crazy pizza where the sauce is on top. That's another way to do this. Okay. Again, easy on the cheese. So it takes a lot less cheese than you might think to really make a nice pizza. Sometimes we do fresh mozzarella. It comes in balls, and we'll put just a few balls on a pizza. It's enough to make it cheesy. Okay, there's our pie. Ready? Am I ready to put it in the oven?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would put it a bit further back.
Okay, great.
Because you got that sticking spot.
Yeah, good point. All right. All right, you ready, Josh?
I am indeed.
All right, we're gonna keep Josh and the phone out of the oven this time so don't overheat. Here's you guys. Sorry about that. So now we have an oven with a sticky spot in the front. So I'm gonna make sure I reach back into the back of the oven where it's hotter. I'm gonna avoid that sticky spot, and I'm gonna shake my pizza off, and it should both and also not stick our dreaded problem. So going on back, shake, shake, shake. There she goes. A little extra cheese, I'll just throw it on. All right. And I think we're good to go. I think we'll wait, watch this one bake for a second, and then we'll go back and make the rest of it. You want to talk to him while I go get the next pizza ready?
Great. Great.
You're sure to tell a joke, Jenn.
I don't know any jokes, Matt. You're the joke master at the farm. This is your job.
Hey, I got a joke for you, Jenn.
What's that?
What's the best thing about Switzerland?
I don't know, Matt.
Josh, you know what the best thing about Switzerland is?
Can't say I do.
Oh, well, the flag's a big plus.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. All right. Well, here we go. Does that look a little better, Jenn?
Yeah. Like that. We're not quite ready to turn, but our edges are good. We're past the sticky spot, so that's great.
Excellent.
So generally when I'm cooking our lunch pizzas, I don't go to market usually. I'm too important in my space here. But when I cook the lunch pizzas, I wait to turn it until the side closest to the heat starts to brown a little bit. You can see that the crust will start to bubble up, puff up a little, and you can notice that it's starting to turn colors. And then that's when I start my rotation process. That also helps ensure that the bottom of the pizza is not stuck. I'll just pull this out. You can see a very light color has changed, but it's not quite ready to turn. So I'll put it back. Generally, I would not pull the pizza the whole way out of the oven, but I just wanted to show you that part.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think we'll hang with you through this one.
Okay.
So they can see how it browns up and stuff.
Okay.
So maybe we can ask Josh, our cameraman, to tell him about his experience as a Dickinson student.
Oh, well, I graduated class of 2020. I was a music and theater major. Came to the farm for farm frolics, and now I'm back working on the farm as an apprentice. Learning a lot. Did some grinding, hoping to do some welding a bit later today. And I'm irrigation all the time. I'm the irrigation designated apprentice. Plugging hoses into things and watering plants. It's a great time.
Where do you live, Josh?
I live in a yurt, sort of a tent-like building, and it's like you're very in tune with nature to an extent that I have never been for such a long period of time before, and it's like quite amazing. You hear the frogs at night, you hear the birds in the morning.
Have you had a storm yet?
I have had the storm. They're
Okay.
they're insanely loud.
Yes.
The loudest storms one could ever hear.
The yurts themselves have a plastic dome on the top of that allows for ventilation, and when it rains, that rain hitting the plastic is quite loud, and the canvas.
Absolutely.
Also, when the moon is full, it's very bright in the years.
Indeed.
But overall, it's very nice to live on the farm. I think I used to live here,
Yeah.
and we're really glad to have Josh. We're very lucky to have Josh. He's a very handy guy. So in addition to being an excellent cameraman, he's really proven to be very valuable with irrigation and in the metal shop. And just good company.
Happy to lend my services.
All right, so just thought we'd hang with you guys to watch this pizza bake. And then we'll go back inside where the sound's a little better. So thanks for bearing with us. Everybody's a little different. I like to bake my pizzas until there's like a little bit of browning on the cheese as well. So like if the cheese is like all white, to me it's a little bit too soupy. I like it to be just on the edge of crispy. And so you kind of have to be patient for that. Get your oven good and hot, and that way you'll have a pizza that's very satisfying.
What about you, Jen? How do you like your pizza?
I'm the same with Matt. I like it nice and brown on top, and occasionally I do burn the lunch pizzas if I forget about them and the oven is too hot. That is one of the tips I can tell you. If you are using a pizza oven, first couple of times, make sure you are with your pizzas in the oven. You turn your back for a second, and the next thing you know, you've got a burnt edge or a whole side that's burnt. I usually end up eating those.
Yep. Yeah, it's always good to burn one or two.
Yeah, I like a bit of char on my pizza, actually.
Taking its time today, huh?
It really is. I'm gonna put some more wood in.
Okay. Yep. We're gonna get some more wood in there. Try to make it a little hotter. And now you might think like, boy, we're taking all this time to bake one pizza. How do you do 90 at farmers market? Well, we can fit like 4 to 6 pizzas in that oven. So as you can imagine, it gets a little more exciting when you got 4 pizzas in there, and one's like almost done, about to burn. One is just going in and maybe sticking to the oven. So it can be quite exciting. All right. Getting close.
We're getting there. Right now, we've got a nice starting to brown on top. I'd like to see my edge a little browner, but you can see right here in the middle that the cheese is starting to get a little bit of that caramel color.
Great.
Really
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe I'll go make the next one, and will you bring that in when it's ready?
I sure will.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much, Jim Wolf.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Maybe now we'll make a big one, because the little ones are going so well. All right. So I thought we'd show you how to make a calzone too, which is really fun. Oh, and I did promise to show you how to hand toss. So let's do that first. So we got our dough ball. Remember, round. Okay. Pizzas are round. Unless you're intentionally making ovals, you want to keep it round. So I'm pushing out here. This is the key step. Nice flat fingers. And all right. So for hand toss, not using a rolling pin at all, which is kind of the traditional way. I want to make sure my cornmeal's already on the paddle. Ready to go. I'm gonna get the pizza up on the back of my hand, and I like to use this ridge, like the knuckle, this big knuckle of your index finger on both sides, or even the back of your wrist there. But I'll go with the knuckle there. So we got it on the back of my hand there, and I'm gonna kind of, with my thumb on the one side, just gently stretch like that. And this dough is so stretchy, or so easily stretched that I'm almost not even having to do any work here. I'm kind of hanging it off there, not pinching, and that's probably about all I can get away with. Okay, so we're going a little small just because of our sticking issue. This dough could actually get as big as the paddle, but I'm being a little conservative. All right, what do you think, Josh?
Looks great.
All right, we're gonna try this green spinach sauce that Jenn Wolf made there. Smells good. It tastes great.
The sauce is also great on pasta. Whenever we have leftovers, I throw it on some.
Oh yeah, that's the best. Free sauce. Okay, we got spinach in the sauce. That's about right there. I'm gonna crumble on some cheese. Keeping your cheese cold is really helpful. You know, here in the summertime, sometimes our cheese gets a little too hot. It's a little less fun to work with. Nice sauce, Jen.
Thank you. Are you gonna put strawberries on that one?
Ooh, that's a great idea. All right, we're gonna make a strawberry one. So we always work with vegetables we have at the farm. You know, we get to the market, people say, I want a pepperoni pizza. Well, we don't grow pepperoni here. So we do grow, if people that like to eat meat, we grow beef cattle, we grow sheep. So sometimes we'll have like ground beef or ground lamb or even sausage on the pizza. But right now, today, just in the interest of time, we're vegetarian. All right, so just some strawberries. Anything else, Wolf?
Some red onion might taste nice on that.
Strawberry and red onion?
Why not?
Okay, all right, I got 2 yeses. All right, we got a little red onion. This is a pretty one here. All right, and if I just pass this off to you, can you take it?
Sure can.
Josh will stay put.
Okay.
All right, look at that beauty. All right, let's do it again, hand toss. So you guys can see, once we got the hang of it, this could be a pretty fast operation. Here's a little guy. Flour. Cut it out small. Flat. Gotta keep it round, Matt. Hey, hey.
Oh, we've got a nice brown edge here. The pizza is firm enough that you could pick it up, kind of like a Frisbee. Got a nice color on the top. Everything's melted.
Excellent. Good job, Jen.
Thanks. Nothing's burnt on this one,
Oh, good.
surprisingly.
Yeah. All right. Great. Let's do that again.
Yeah, we're working on it.
All right. So gonna hand stretch this one. Maybe I'll toss this one for you guys. So tossing is again on the knuckles, and then you kind of whoa. I can only toss it a few times before it gets to be too stretched. So you gotta go easy. All right, and like that. You can imagine the farmer's market, we're cranking these things out and you gotta go fast. More of that great spinach flavor. Spinach and garlic, good stuff. Okay, spinach.
Oh, while you're working on that, we do have a question.
Yes.
Is it ever recommended to pre-bake your crust and then put toppings on and rebake,
my
maybe for
goodness.
like a thinner crust pizza?
That's a great question, Josh. Thank you. So we do actually often pre-bake our crust, and that's a volume question. So because we're making so many pizzas at a time, nowadays we actually do pre-bake the crust at the farm, and then we would either take pre-baked crust to market and build them there, or we even actually now we'll do the whole step, like pre-bake the crust, build it as a pizza, and bake it in the oven. Thank you, Jen. And then those pre-baked crusts are stable. So I think we'll go ahead and pre-bake one for you guys just so you can see what that's like. That's a great question. It's really kind of user's choice. So when I worked at the Papa J's place in Pittsburgh, when we made a white pizza, we would pre-bake them a little bit and then add the cheese and sauce and stuff like that. Mostly pizza shops will just build the pizza, throw it in the oven and bake it once. But you can do a pre-bake. For us, it was helpful what we call par bake. So we'll bake them just a little bit and then I don't have the roller, so you might see the consequence of par baking without anything on top. When we do the par baking, at this point, we put the dough on the tray or on the paddle, and we want to roll it with a thing that pokes little baby holes in it. So I can take my fork. The point of poking the holes in the dough is so that when that rises, there's a lot of air is going to try to come out of it, or carbon dioxide gas. And so I want to let that gas out of the dough, or else it'll puff up like a big football. We really don't want that. It'll burn fast that way. All right.
You just want to par bake this.
Yeah, just par bake it. Yep. Did I answer your question, whoever that was?
Yeah, Rob Webb says yes. Thank you.
Excellent.
We have another question from a while ago. I was trying to keep up in real time, but just now got to the point of doing the first rise of the dough ball. I missed for how long and at what temp. The same question for the second small balls. How long and what temp?
Great question. So,
and they also wonder if they can put it into the fridge at that stage and do the rest later.
Yes. Yes. So you could, if you're like trying to make pizza tonight, you would want to rise it at like a warm temperature, maybe 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So like at home, I would put it on top of the fridge, or like if I was preheating my oven, I could put it on there or do some other cooking. In the wintertime, it takes longer for dough to rise. So about 80 Fahrenheit is nice. So the first dough ball, here on the farm, we don't even really let that dough ball rise all that much, like 15 minutes at barn temperature, whatever that happens to be. The second rise, the longer that is, your dough will get bigger and puffier. So you do want to be kind of paying attention to it over time. The next thing after they get big is they can actually start to like balloon up and lose their shape. So we want to push the air out of them at that point. But I would say we do the second rise of our dough balls in the fridge. And they will continue to rise in the fridge. Unless you freeze them, they're going to continue to grow because that yeast is active. So we do about 2 or 3 hours in the fridge. Look at that.
It's your par bake.
Okay. So what do you have to say about that?
So you can tell it's still flexible. It's not hard like the first one. We would sit this to cool before we would build on it. But if you're going to cook it right away, you could build it hot right now on the paddle and then just slip it right back in the oven.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So try to answer that question. It's about 15 minutes to an hour for the first rise. And then the second rise is a couple hours, but depending on the temperature. If you're at a warm temperature, it doesn't take long at all. And if you're at a cool temperature or a cold temperature, it can take several hours. So I like to pull the dough out of the fridge before I work with it. So like if it's been in the fridge for a couple hours, we're ready to start using it. We'll pull it out and let it warm up for half an hour or so. And that way it'll get nice and pliable for you. You'll learn over time, like I like maybe you like a stiff dough. This dough, it's a little bit too soft really. So they've kind of ballooned out and they're tender. So I can't really abuse this dough or I'll start making holes in it. And it's a little too warm. So if this were colder, it'd be better, but it's working fine. Okay. I thought we'd make a calzone. You guys like that idea?
Absolutely.
All right. Now we better start eating. So I'm pushing all my air out. Just like we're making a regular pizza. We're gonna make it round. We can use a rolling pin or not. Kind of depends on the dough. If your dough is really stiff, you'll know it, and it won't stretch easily. And so that dough will definitely require a rolling pin. This dough being so flexible, it really doesn't require a rolling pin at all. I'm gonna just hand stretch this. This will be fun. It's a nice big one for the toss. Okay, you can see it just took like one toss there, and I'm about to put my hand through it. So, okay. Now we got this. I think we'll put some of this great spinach sauce on this one side. Now we're just building the pizza in half, essentially. So spinach sauce is nice because it doesn't have a lot of water. And put some cheese on there. Go easy on your calzone. You want to put too much stuff in there or it won't bake. The trick with a calzone is you got to get the crust to finish about the same time as the inside, or else it gets like doughy or wet and sticky. All right, maybe some red onions. Whoa, look at that beautiful pizza. Boy, that's a winner, Jen Wolf.
Hey, you know what I think it needs?
What's it need?
A little balsamic drizzle.
Oh, boy. All right. Look at that. Boy, I hope you guys are getting hungry at home because we are. All right. We're going to put some onions on there. And then I'm going to put a little dollop of this red sauce on top just for fun. It's going to be a dual purpose sauce here. And finally, a little bit more cheese. All right. Okay, now I'm going to fold over my crust and then take the edge and making like a big ravioli, you know? Okay, you can use a fork for that. Some people will brush this with egg wash. We're not going to do that today, but we will use our slicer to put little cuts in it because as it blows up, I want to have a place for the steam to get out, you know?
Air vents.
Yep, a couple air vents there. All right, and that should just slide off like normal. All right. Hey, pizza, pizza, pizza. We're making pizza, you guys. Hope you're having a good time. We've had a lot of students come here learn how to make pizza. And, you know, it's not you don't go to college to learn how to make pizza. We go to college to learn how to be professionals of some kind. But it is a great life skill. You know, when I was a young farmhand between farm jobs, I often would get winter jobs making pizzas. And you can always find work making pizza. It is a hard job because it's a lot of hustle, but we have a good time.
Would you say that one of the beauties of making pizzas at home is that you can use whatever your little heart desires?
That's right. You don't need like to use the standard pepperoni and mushroom. You could, boy, what else do you put on pizza? What do you put on pizza at your house, Jenn?
I like jalapenos, pineapple, and ham on my pizza, but because I like a little kick.
Yeah.
But you know, in general, we put everything here on the farm. We make a carrot marinara that we call carinara, and then we use sweet potatoes to make a sauce. And you can have sweet, you can have savory. It's really whatever you have on hand and whatever you feel like making that really can amp up what you're doing. I mean, I often am like, okay, I have these 4 vegetables that are about to spoil. What can I do to repurpose them for their last lives?
Yeah. Sometimes it gets a little crazy around here, like collard greens on pizza.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, we always have a monthly special. And that can be really fun and exciting. This one's got the swirl. I've got a mixture of sauces on there, red and green. So a little bit for everybody.
Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas sauce. Or like the Italian flag.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll make, our next one we'll make without cheese for the vegans. And we're running out of cheese.
We need more cheese.
You know, I gotta have one more. I'll make one without cheese. Do you have a little bit extra?
I certainly
Okay, great. Thank you, Jenn. All right. Well, almost out of toppings. Gonna be good. This is a strawberry pizza with. Oh, you know what I really like on pizza that Jenn Wolf makes sometimes is asparagus. So good. Asparagus, arugula, and all right, we got onions, strawberries on there. I'll go throw this one in the oven real quick.
Okay.
All right, be right back.
Yep. Any other words of wisdom, Jenn Wolf?
No, I don't have any words of wisdom. I agree with everything that Matt said, especially about not putting too much cheese and sauce on your pizza. We hand grate this for our pizzas. We use a thicker, it's not like a real thin like you would get at the grocery store. It's a thicker cut. It allows us to use the same amount, but it spreads out very nicely that way. We use about 15 to 20 pounds of cheese each week on our pizza process. So we have sort of master doing it this way. If you can say master, I'm not a master of pizza making, but that's getting there.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's all about having a good time, and you know, we make something that tastes good. People are happy with it. We don't worry about being masters. We worry about getting it done.
Sure.
Exactly.
So the last step is, you know, this is where the money is: cutting the pizza. Have a good cutter, and you can do that anyway. But you know, we always say like, you want 6 cuts. You want to go across, and then go across again, and maybe one more time. Oh boy, that's gonna be good. I like to let the pizza cool a little bit before I cut it. That way the cheese doesn't get all runny. And I bet that calzone is about ready for it.
You think so?
Oh well, if it's brown all around, go ahead and bring it.
Okay.
But maybe not. Your call. We're gonna have some happy students today. They're coming down. So while we're in here playing around with pizza, our students are out in the field doing weeding and planting, growing all the vegetables.
One more minute.
Okay, so they're gonna appreciate a good slice of pizza. Would you like a slice of pizza, General?
I will take some with me.
Okay, you don't need on camera?
I don't eat on
All right,
camera.
I'll be the one.
All right.
All right, so hopefully it tastes good. Cheers, everybody. Mm,
How we do, Matt?
mm,
All right.
mhm,
So we just need to get our own pizza ovens at home.
mhm. Well, again, you can build one at home. You can, I bought a pizza stone for my grill.
Mhm.
A good way to go. Pizza stone for your oven. It's a lot easier to make a good pizza on a stone than it is on a cookie sheet.
True
Mhm.
story.
Um,
I use a stone at home as well.
all right. When you have a stone, you want to preheat your stone for
I
Half
say
hour?
a solid half hour, yeah. Until you can like sprinkle a dash of water on it, it sizzles and evaporates like instantly.
a little bit of cornmeal on there.
Mhm,
It's so good.
mhm. Yeah, I usually fill my house with a bit of smoke when I'm doing it, but that's all right. Turn on the fan, open the back door.
Yeah. It tastes better. How's it smell, Josh?
Smells delicious.
Oh boy,
I can't wait to have some.
you got one with your name on it here. So, all
One.
right, I'll save this one for later.
Mr. Matt,
Hey, look at that.
how's
Hey,
it
hey.
going?
Thank you, Jen.
Mhm.
There's your calzone. You can see it's nice and, you know, I can pick it up. Now I'm a cook, so my hands are tough, but this is plenty hot. Cool. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. What's fun with the calzone is if you have like some honey on hand, you can put that on this big fat crust here. Oh boy, it's a little runny. We probably should have let it cool before we cut it, but it's gonna be fun to eat. I'm not sure what the difference is between a calzone and a stromboli.
I think calzones have sauce on the inside and strombolis may not.
That's right. Okay, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Because with a stromboli, they give you a little dish of sauce.
correct.
And oftentimes the stromboli is a little more longer amount or
Mhm.
narrow, and the calzone's like looks like a pizza fold in half.
Yeah, when I make a stromboli, I'll spread my dough out like more of a rectangle. Put all my toppings in the middle of the dough and then fold both sides in to make the seam in the middle and then flip it and cut.
Should we try it?
I mean, we totally can.
All right.
Here.
What are we gonna do with all this pizza, Jen Wolf?
I think the students will be happy to help with this problem.
All right. Well, we're about out of time. Is that true?
We are at 4:30.
Okay. So, and Jen Wolf needs to go. I'm changing the desk here, so. So
We
I'll
don't
make,
let that leave.
yeah, I'll make this stromboli, and we gotta let Josh get on this day too. Are there any last questions as we're going?
Margaret McGurk asks, what is your favorite type of sauce?
Thank you, Margaret. Hi, it's good to see you, Margaret. Have you been gone 5 years already? That's crazy. All right. My favorite type of sauce, I like a good red sauce, marinara, or I like a garlic sauce. I really like this green sauce that Jen Wolf made today. So, but in general, for me, I'll just get a red sauce pizza. I mean, I'm a traditional guy.
Absolutely. Margaret says hi.
Hi, Margaret. Margaret used to work on the farm. She was our coordinator. Yep.
Yep. She also did theater stuff.
Oh, yeah. All right. So here we got an oval shaped pizza. And so you put just the cheese and the veggies in it, right?
Yep.
All right. We're making a bowlie, folks. First time ever on live TV. All right. I want to leave some space so I can fill up my crust. Cheese and some vegetables. It's so good. Boy. If I was ordering, I'd probably get a sausage and onion mushroom stromboli from a Benny's Pizza here in Bowling Springs.
Nice.
All right, maybe a little extra cheese on there. Okay, you guys can see there's no sauce in this one. Like this, Jen?
So ends too.
All right. And we're gonna sew that bad boy up. Hopefully it stays together. Put air holes in it.
I just squeeze them out and then flip upside down so that the seam side goes down
Oh boy. Now
to
you
keep it
get
from running out.
whoa. Like that? Flip it.
Flip it. Great.
Oh boy. All right. Stromboli. Wow.
Nice.
Okay, well, she's gonna put that in the oven, and then I think we'll bring Jen back and wrap it up here. So I really appreciate you guys taking time to be with us today, and taking some time out of the sunshine, coming back to Dickinson, and thinking of your alma mater. We're still here, educating students, and both in the academic setting and also life skills like pizza making, how to run a small business.
There's your jewel sauce pie.
This floral.
That's a beautiful one.
Let's all give a big hand to Jen Wolf.
And Matt.
Oh, that's and
Really?
Josh the cameraman. So again, thanks for coming. And when you're back in town, check out Pizza on the Plaza, or if you're here on a Wednesday, come to Farmers Market, get some wood-fired pizza for yourself at Farmers on the Square. So y'all take care now.
Great.
Everybody.
Thank you. This was great.
Oh,
Thank you guys.
thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
Very cool.